When wealth grows, it needs protection. Without careful planning, what's built can erode quickly. And the rich know this. They don't leave any of it up to chance. Their strategies are deliberate, rooted in protecting what they've earned from risk, taxes, and that ever-changing economy. So if you've worked hard to create financial stability, guarding it is your next step. This isn't just for billionaires, okay? It's for anyone who wants to keep their financial future secure. So let's see how the wealthy protect their assets, and then you can do the same. Welcome to Alux, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Number 1, always have liquidity. Now, having liquidity, cash ready and on hand, is one of the most important moves that you can make to protect your wealth. When your money isn't tied up, you can act quickly when opportunities or emergencies come your way. The wealthy know the value of staying ready and keeping the reserves in places where they can get to them immediately without selling off investments. During the 2008 financial crisis, so many people lost everything. They sold properties and stocks at a fraction of their value because they needed cash fast. But those who had liquidity were in a different position entirely. They held on to their assets, waited out the storm, and even bought new investments at lower prices, setting themselves up for greater returns later on. Keeping liquidity puts you in control. It keeps you in a position to be prepared for anything, and then you can act quickly and decisively, even when others are stuck. Number 2, think big and out of the box. You're going to have obstacles and challenges coming for your money and your wealth no matter how well you try to protect it. So you have to get a bit creative, okay, about how you accumulate wealth, where you keep it safe, and how you keep it growing. Being creative about protecting your wealth also protects it because it reduces your dependence on a single income source. You don't have to completely stray away from what you know, but stepping out to different paths creates that extra level of security. Think about what Walt Disney did back in 1955 when he bought land in Anaheim, California to build a Disneyland. His idea seemed crazy at the time. Why build a theme park when his movie business was already successful? Well, this decision protected his company from the ups and downs of the movie industry. The parks brought in steady revenue and kept the company secure on multiple fronts. Protecting your wealth needs action, not hesitation, okay? If you want to build value that lasts, then you have to step outside the usual paths. Number 3, invest your time in good financial habits. You know, it's funny when we talk about creating and building wealth, we throw the word investments around a lot, right? But mostly when it comes to which stock or companies to put your money into. We don't really talk about the time you need to invest in just building good financial habits. It takes years to get to know your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to protecting your money. It takes a calculated effort to learn about these weaknesses and work on them, and to recognize your strengths and use them for real. And the rich know this about themselves. They started learning really early on, and it's how they got to where they are now. So before you think about putting your money into offshore accounts or donating to certain charities to claim taxes back because you've heard it's worth it, work out if you're dedicated enough to go through all that paperwork. If you're knowledgeable and interested enough to learn about different tax strategies. Because if you're not, and you do those things half-heartedly, well, then you could end up risking and losing even more than what you started with. Number 4, make sure you have some great experiences too, because look, okay, one of the worst things you can do with your money is to hoard your wealth for a rainy day, never spending or enjoying any of it, and always worrying that something will happen where you lose everything. You can spend your entire life protecting your money, and then what? Have you even lived? Have you had great experiences that make your life and hard work worth it? You don't have to blow everything you've worked hard to enjoy, but you do have to get out there, okay, and travel, experience life. Go out to the nice restaurant if you can afford it. Enjoy the VIP box at a concert if you can splurge. Dance at that festival, rent that dream car of yours for a weekend. No matter what happens to your wealth, nothing and nobody can erase your memories. the memories that make it all worthwhile. So go out there and enjoy some of your wealth, okay? And now, we know this might be slightly controversial. There's a constant push and pull, right? Because on one hand, building and protecting your wealth requires some sacrifices, and putting your money toward great experiences can create a habit that has the potential to derail what you've built. On the other hand, the goal of building wealth is to be able to enjoy your life, your freedom. If you're not enjoying it now because you're so strict with yourself about spending money, then are you actually in full control? Have you become so obsessed with a number that you've forgotten why you're doing all of this in the first place? Now, we knew this needed a deeper dive, okay? So today on the Alux app, we've got an exclusive daily session just for you. In a dedicated discussion, we're tackling this duality to determine the value of experiences versus investments. You can download the app right now and listen to it. And we've got an extra exclusive offer just for you. So download the app, scan this QR code on screen, and you'll get 50% off the annual membership. But this incredible offer ends when February begins. So if you want 2025 to be the year you turn everything around, you know what to do. I'll be there with you every step of the way. See you on the inside. Number 5, spread the wealth. Diversify, diversify, diversify. Even if it's a tiny amount in many places, do it. Markets, life, wealth, property, insurance, it's all unpredictable at the end of the day. You can be sailing smoothly for years, everything's going great, and then the property bubble bursts or the market fluctuates just when you needed extra financial security or your job is at risk, just as you've made a big purchase. You have no idea what's going to happen, so the only thing you can do is put a little bit of your money into everything. One of the suggestions we always give in this space is to invest in art. Now, if you've watched our videos before, then you know that we work pretty closely with Masterworks, the sponsor of today's video. And that's because investing in art is a safe haven asset. You're protected even when everything else fluctuates. Masterworks' experts do the heavy lifting for you, okay? They analyze the market, they coordinate acquisitions of high-value pieces, and make it easy for you to invest in shares of high-quality art. The contemporary art market they let you access has even outpaced the S&P 500 overall across the last 30 years. So now everyone has the opportunities to put money into investments that pay. In fact, Masterworks' last sale was a Basquiat painting in 2024, which sold for $8 million after 1,398 days. For every $10,000 someone invested into that Basquiat, they took home over $2,600 in profit after fees. And from their 23 sales so far, investors have realized annualized net returns of the likes of 17.6%, 17.8%, and 21.5% from assets held for 1 year. Now, usually, services like Masterworks have a long wait list, and traditionally, only high net worth individuals were approved. But since you're an Alux subscriber, you're getting special treatment. Go to masterworks.art/Alux or scan the QR code on screen right now to skip the waiting list and invest in blue chip art today. Number 6, make your assets visible. Now, when everyone can easily see and trace your assets, they become prime targets for lawsuits, theft, and security that you just do not need. There are perfectly legal and strategic ways to hide your wealth, which is exactly how the rich reduce their risk while holding on to some form of control. One way you can do this is to hold your assets in trusts. So without this, you risk having everything you've built getting ripped apart by greedy people. This is exactly what happened back in 2016 when the performer Prince died. He didn't have a trust or even a will, so his assets went through probate court and all of his finances became public knowledge. It made the entire process longer and way more invasive. With a trust, a legal entity owns some of your assets, so it makes it harder to link them directly to you. You can also own assets under business entities instead of your name, like when real estate is held by an LLC instead of an individual. This buffer limits your exposure in legal cases, so if someone ever sues you, it would be way harder for them to target whatever wealth is held by that business or trust. Number 7. A great financial advisor. Now, a great financial advisor is worth their weight in gold, okay? They're trustworthy and loyal, which, man, oh man, do you really need when you're dealing with money that's growing quickly? If you already have your normal day job and you've got multiple side streams of income, then you don't have time to nitpick through everything to optimize your finances. Because, well, that also means you'll have to stay on top of the latest investment and finance news, and that changes so quickly it's hard to keep up with unless it's actually your job. So find someone with that job. A good financial advisor will make sure your money is protected, that you know what's going on with it, and the important decisions are still left up to you while the mundane daily decisions are handled honestly. It might take a while for you to find one, and you'll have to stay on their case. But once you find the one, well, you'll be financially set for life. Number 8, own real estate. Just own it, okay? You can do whatever you want with it. Sacrifice what you need to get the good location, even if it's a fixer-upper, because we can't stress this enough. Sure, real estate is subject to fluctuations and the process can be stressful, and you're gonna have this monthly debt on your name for a little while, but it's all going to grow in value over time, and you have some control over how fast it grows. A good up-and-coming location beats a nice place in a bad location any day. Even if you have to put in some work into it in the first place, that's okay. Every cent you put into it increases its value. One thing you need to remember here, though, is that if you live in the property that you own, the value of that asset isn't as strong, okay? It's not making you any money. You're paying to live there. You're not generating any consistent income from it. If you're able to buy a place in a good location, charge rent for it, and then live in a cheaper place yourself, even if you're renting that cheaper place, well, at least you're making money on the nicer place. And doing that protects your wealth. Number 9, nurture a stable family life. Now, there's a reason why people in long-term marriages and with children, traditionally, were more likely to get promoted. A stable life protects your wealth. It means you've got a partner and children to come home to and provide for. And that partner has already vetted you, if you will. It means you're not going to take unnecessary risks or do anything crazy because you have to think about more than just yourself. On paper, it might seem like it eats away at your wealth more, which can be true in some cases, but it also gives you more grounding and stability that keeps your wealth in responsible hands. Now, this doesn't mean you have to get married and have children to protect your wealth, not at all. You can have a perfectly stable family life with your friends and your dogs and your cats. You just need something that pulls you away from thinking that you can be reckless without affecting anyone but yourself. Create that stability for yourself and you'll have this built-in wealth protector. Number 10, keep your eye on your financial health. Even if you have the best, most loyal financial advisor in the world, things can still slip through the cracks. Nobody can protect and guard your money as well as you will because nobody cares about it as much as you do. So it's your responsibility to develop a plan that follows some kind of regular checkups. You want to do it as often as possible, but not so often it becomes an obsession for you and you're constantly making changes that jeopardizes your progress. Once a month, every 2 months, or every quarter is a good time to review your assets, check on your liabilities, and adjust your financial goals. There are always going to be changes because things happen that are out of your control and you'll have to play around with your strategies a little bit. But once you have this habit down, reviewing and adjusting will become like second nature. Number 11, get creative with your taxes. If you're just paying whatever the government tells you to pay for your taxes, then you're missing out, okay, big time. Now, there's the massive brouhaha about how the wealthy avoid paying taxes, right? It just doesn't seem fair, but the truth is, you can take advantage of those loopholes too. You don't need to be a billionaire to do this. Find legal ways to reduce your taxable income. There are deductions, credits, maximizing your retirement contributions, depreciation on property that allows an owner to claim a part of a building's value as an expense, even while the property increases in market value. So learn the strategies, okay? Get creative. Play around with what works for you. And of course, always make sure things stay legal and above board. Number 12, insurance, insurance, insurance. Now, how many times have you heard, "I never thought that would happen to me"? Because, look, okay, nobody thinks tragedy will strike close to them until it does. And in such a tumultuous and emotional time, the last thing you want to be thinking about is how you're going to survive this financially. Except, you have to. You don't have a choice. The stress and worry will have you regretting not getting your insurance policies in place beforehand. Whole life insurance, disability insurance, car, house, health, these are annoying monthly expenses, and when you've been paying them for years and not using them, they can feel even more pointless. But there is peace of mind that comes with knowing that if anything happens to you, you're protected, and so is your family. There's no amount of money or value that you can place on that kind of peace of mind. And if something ever does happen, then you're going to be so incredibly grateful that you did make those monthly sacrifices, because that has made sure that you are protected and covered in your most difficult times. Number 13, share your wealth. Now, watching your finances grow and seeing how far you've come, it can be addictive, right? You end up wanting to keep adding to it because you get a sort of high from seeing your net worth increase. As you get into this habit, sharing your wealth with anyone else feels like you're taking a lot more away from yourself. They haven't worked as hard for it as you have. You've had to make all the sacrifices and go through all of the difficult times. How is it fair that other people get to benefit from it? These are fair questions, but the reality is that you benefit from sharing your wealth too. You get to see how much of an impact you can make on somebody else's life, not just on your own. And if you invest in the right people, then you'll pay dividends in loyalty and connections. They'll protect your wealth for you. Number 14, teach the next generation about finances. Now, you probably had to learn all the ropes yourself, right? You made mistakes, you had to face setbacks on your own, and you had to rely on your gut feeling even when other people doubted you. If you can make that journey just a little bit easier for the rest of your family, for the next generation, then do it. Give them a fighting chance too. You teaching them will ultimately protect your wealth. Use practical experiences to teach your children or your nieces and nephews about financial skills. Give the younger generation in your family the confidence and skills to handle wealth responsibly. We've got a tendency to judge younger generations, right? Because they haven't worked to build the wealth like we have. But that's not fair. They didn't choose the position they're in, so it's up to you to help them understand what a privilege it is to be able to learn and manage money from someone who's worked their way up to it. After all, once you've made enough money for yourself in this lifetime, what else is it for? It's for them. They're your legacy. And number 15, write a will. Look, we know it sounds obvious, and really, who doesn't know this already? But it turns out far too many people, okay? They know it, but they're not doing it. One study showed that 60% of Americans have a written will. 60%, okay, just over half. Without a proper will, everything you've worked for could end up in the hands of people you don't care about or you've never even met. In fact, the government can take a large part of it. Debt can eat up that money if you don't have a detailed plan for where it should go or how your other expenses should be paid for. And then you risk leaving your family trapped in confusion as they try to work through your estate and figure out what to pay and where to get the money from. Your will doesn't just tell people where your assets should go, it also tells them how to find certain assets and what to do to make the financial process of grieving easier. Even if you're not rich, having this planned out and protected will help you to breathe easier and give your family some peace and reassurance even after you're gone. It's definitely something that is worth your time and a little bit of money. And that's all we got for you today, Aluxer. Don't forget to download our app to listen to today's daily Alux session, where we talk about the value of spending your money on experiences versus investing it. Here's that QR code again, just in case you missed it. I'll see you there. Until next time, take care, my friend.